Well, as we were saying before we were so rudely interrupted, welcome back to the Chromaniacs post-match show with Craig, Abe, and Alex, and thankfully not with Tony the Torpedo, who came in from a Jack in the Box in Calexico off of the turnbuckle and just body slammed the show, asked one question and then pressed end all as he left. And as such, this is part two of the Chromaniacs post-game show. Welcome back to it. The first part, which will stay in YouTube infamy now with the best sudden ending in Chromaniacs history, covered most of our thoughts on the match proper. Let's get in this probably shorter segment, guys, to first off, Mikey Vardis' post-match sound. Let's hear what he had to say and reflect upon his thoughts.
And how do you categorize another impressive win now away?
Yeah, I think it was a really professional performance where we controlled large portions of that game, created a lot of big chances. So I think we have to be really happy about how we came, what kind of attitude we came to come here and go after the game. And of course, there's still things to improve on, but there always is. And I think at the end of the day, we have to be proud of this kind of strong professional win on the road. And then, yeah, it's just another step in the right direction because we got a lot of games coming up. So it's not about getting too high or too low in the moments of success or adversity. It's just about taking it one step at a time. No, we'll enjoy this one for the night because, again, I think I've said this a lot, but you can never take for granted 3 points at this level. But all of us tomorrow will use the day to make sure that we're recovering, recharging batteries, and getting ready for the next one at home, which will be an unbelievable match.
And what can you tell me about individual performances, such as the end with Duran Ferri and then Pedro Soma, who makes a start today?
Yeah, I think it's another testament to us giving opportunities to young players. So Pedro getting the opportunity to come in and get some minutes in an important away match. And I think that he came off the bench really well. I think that was really important. I think Oni Valakari, he was unlucky enough to score a goal, but he had some pretty good actions. And I think when he dropped down into the pivot, he also gave us a lot of clear breakthrough moments. Anders and Pele and Marcus, I think, also had solid games. Everybody really had overall pretty solid games. And then Duran, again, I think he took advantage of his opportunity. And today he showed a big save moment too. So he's kind of adding on to the things we can trust him with in his tool belt. And at the end of the day, I think everybody did their part. And that includes the guys who were rostered but didn't even come in the game. You know, you can just feel a group completely united behind the effort that they want to make to help the club win games.
That's a good spot right there to pause it because you know Mikey's into post-victory hyperbole when he takes time to praise all the players who didn't play in the game for their contribution to the victory. You all did a wonderful job of sitting there. Amazing work, you. Good stuff. Great job occupying those seats. Good stuff, Mikey. No, very interesting. But that reflects on something we said, Alex, in part one. You know, when it comes to any of these decisions, they're going to go to the younger player. And those decisions were made. Pedro Soma, did he stand out in tonight's match? Not necessarily. That might be something that film breakdown could show where he did make some positive contributions along the way. But nonetheless, that was an opportunity given, and 3 points came out on the other end. So at the very least, you can say no harm done.
No, and I think he was, yeah, like Mikey said, he was solid, and just like the rest of the players. And the one thing I'll add is he had the key pass to get to Dryer to Pellegrino for that eventually the goal that was zeroed out and not counted, but that was good. I mean, that was a good key pass there in that situation. Is he going to be like a 10 that's going to be like an attacking midfielder? Probably not, but I don't think this team needs him to be that. I think they want him to be a more of a pivot that, comes and goes box to box, just a little bit like Godoy does, and just kind of replicate a little bit of that Godoyness that he shows, and hopefully that can translate for when they play Toluca, and you have another guy that's there that can be a reliable starter that can really show up for that match.
Yeah, and the second part that he also mentioned completely on his own was David Vasquez subbing on, and what he brought, kind of closer to what you said earlier, Alex. Just real like firecracker, a lot of energy out there, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can also do that against a high level Liga MX team, because it seems a little bit different when it's coming on in Kansas City or some of these MLS matches. But it's gonna be a real tough challenge for Vasquez. But I do think that's definitely where they're going to go at some point during the match on Wednesday.
Lewis Morgan got his first opportunity to play in this match. Did you guys have any thoughts? It was a very limited opportunity, and we're watching on a screen, so you don't really get to see all of his runs unless he's within that screen. But did anything stand out to either of you?
Just that he looked a little gassed, just getting those first few minutes, and I think it's gonna, as much as we want to see Lewis Morgan and want to see like a different attacking player out there on the front line. It seems like it's gonna take some time, because he was making some runs, and at the very end of them, he just looked a little tired at a very limited time. So just getting him up to speed, especially connecting with Dreyer, it's going to take a few matches, but I think eventually it should connect. It connected with Pellegrino very late last year. It should connect with Morgan. So it's just going to be a wait and see.
Yeah, big wait and see for sure. And I think that what you mentioned there, Dreyer and him are gonna have to be like really well connected for this to work out, just because of how important Dreyer is to this attack. And when Ingvartsen is playing at his highest level, that's when Dreyer's been playing at his highest level so far this season, at least. In the past, Dreyer was just kind of completely taking over, it felt like, but this year, when that connection works, San Diego FC's front line works really well. So if Lewis Morgan is able to do that, then I think it's going to be pretty good for San Diego.
And it just bears mentioning every time, because he's kind of like the secret sauce of this team. That I thought Tverskov had another tremendous game, sending passes upfield, being creative in sparking runs. He's such a dynamic creator from the back of the midfield, being that guy that has the eyes to see everything, see all the lanes, and initiate the attack without having to be at the end of the attack or even being the final pass. It's really impressive, the number of first passes that he uses that leads to a 4-pass chain that leads to a great chance on goal. I think he's underrated, if anything. And to see how Ingvartsen has raised his play and the way Tverskov has been here since day one, it once again fulfills the vision of Tyler Heaps and the organization for the guys they brought in to be the veteran leaders of this club, Abe.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I have the Luca Bombino audio now. If we're ready this time, hopefully it's not cursed. Hopefully we don't get a random coming in, but let's see if it works.
Mature way, and he's someone that we really trust pretty much anywhere on the field.
Wait,
Contributed a little bit more in the final third, but overall,
sorry.
he had an important contribution on the goal. At the same time, I think that it's a performance that, even Bobby will say that if he's a little bit cleaner, I think he could have contributed a little bit more in the final third. But overall, I'm really happy with him, because it's not easy as a left footer to play in the right fullback position. And he's taking it on in a really mature way, and he's someone that we really trust pretty much anywhere on the field. And then at the end of the day, I think the yellow card kind of shackled him a little bit too, getting that yellow card so early. But I think he had a mature performance.
And to ask you,
I thought you were going to ask another question, Abe. But and then I'm like, wait,
I
is that-
was, but it was about Durant Free again. It wasn't really much new about that. If you guys want to hear it though,
Sure, no, let's hear it.
again about Durant. Sometimes for a goalkeeper, it can be really hard to stay engaged when you haven't really seen a lot of tough chances. But to get those moments at the end, what did it mean for you to see that out of him?
Yeah, it's just another step in the right direction because we know what he can do with the ball at his feet. I think he's been showing that he's pretty brave in terms of his positioning to protect the back line with the space in behind coming off his line. He's also shown that he can come out for crosses, which is really good. The one thing we haven't really seen is him tested from medium to short range, and for him to pick up an important save like that, I think it's really good for his first tool belt.
Thank you.
We'll go to
Good stuff. And I agree. I mean, it's a perfect assessment from Mikey, Alex, in terms of we've seen all these other things, but we hadn't seen the saves. We hadn't seen the chances where you're really put into the fire. And tonight we saw him back to back, and there was no panic. There was great reaction. Cat-like. Duran Ferri, so impressive.
Yeah, I like it, and I just wonder if this is just gonna carry over to Toluca, and Mikey Vardis is gonna have to decide between him, Cisniega, maybe if CJ's up for it, but it just seems like it's Ferri and Cisniega heading into this Champions Cup match, which is really big. It's a really it could mean a lot to the kid, but you also have someone with experience, especially having his familiarity with Liga MX teams in Cisniega. So it's going to be hard to decide midweek on who you're going to go with, and it's a good decision to have.
I'm going back and forth in my head. That entire game, honestly, I was just thinking to myself, like, well, Cisniega would have done this, and then Durant probably maybe better with his feet, but then he made that mistake right there, and now you're gonna have these Liga MX forwards who are just gonna be completely high pressing you and just not giving you any space whatsoever. It's gonna be really, really tough. But I still ultimately think just because of how well that Durant's been proven that he's done in these past couple games, it must be that he's really earned Mikey Vardis' trust, and if Mikey Vardis truly believes in all of this, then he has to trust Durant Free for against the top competition that he could face.
Well, you know what? And trust is a two-way street. And here's something that he could do that I think would still be exhibiting trust, which would be to have Pablo Cisniega run out there on Wednesday. And then when you get to Dallas, that Duran Ferri is right back in net. Even if Cisniega makes 4 great saves and has an assist, and SDFC beats Toluca, and everybody is losing their minds, and Cisniega is a huge part of it, and Ferri's just right back in there on the weekend. That's true trust, is that don't worry, even if you're out for this match, you're still my guy, and you're going to be right back in there the next match, and you don't have to lose any heart about it or lose any sleep over it either. So I could easily see them do that, because I feel like every time we make some statement on this that feels well, it's going to be this, then it becomes that. And so far what it's been is Duran all the way. And if it's Duran all the way, it's Duran all the way. I'm sure that kid can recover in time to play against Toluca and play well. But if Cisniega runs out there, I'm not going to be surprised at all.
No, and this is what other teams do all the time when it comes to other competitions, tournaments, that they have the second goalkeeper go out there and play the match, and it's not going to be any different here. It's just have Cisniega take the minutes if that's what Mikey Vardis decides. But I think at this point nothing's going to surprise me if I see Furry there on, against Toluca on a 8:30 kickoff at Snapdragon. So hopefully, well, hopefully it works out for the kid. It just if that's the case, but yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup against Toluca.
Does no one in CONCACAF have kids? 8:30 kickoff.
They're late in Mexico too. I don't get it. Like, why all the games, no matter where they are way too late.
Oh, we're going to do a midnight post-game show?
It's going to be 1 a.m. by the time Mikey Vardis has his sound ready.
I mean, let me just say this right now. If we beat Toluca, yeah, we are going to do a late post-game show because we're going to have to, because that's going to be the biggest win in franchise history. And I think that's where we should spend our remaining few minutes here on the air on this Tony truncated post-game show. Came in like one of those paper cutters that they have in the office at the YMCA. Shunk, just cut this show in half. But undoubtedly, right? I mean, okay, no, maybe not undoubtedly. Let's just put it up there. They played the Western Conference Final against Vancouver Whitecaps at home and lost that match 3-1. Here they're going to play Toluca, the bicampeones of Liga MX in the CONCACAF Cup, but it's the second round of the CONCACAF Cup. Would this be the biggest win in franchise history if they pulled it out?
I think it'd be easily the biggest win, because even though you're not winning a tournament, you're not going into a final, Liga MX just has Toluca on a pedestal right now that is just very, very hard to reach. Even for the top clubs, for the America, the Chivas, everyone, Toluca is the number one right now. And if they can put on not just like a 1-0 beating, but like if you put on 2 goals, like even with the Pumas games, they were calling for the Pumas manager's head. Like, it would just be insane in Mexican media if they like are able to do stuff. So it would put San Diego FC just on a completely different level, I think, not just in Mexico, but globally.
Yeah, it's a chance to beat the champs, and they're one of the best teams in Mexico, and they're a very high scoring team. That goal differential is pretty ridiculous in the last couple of years or last couple of seasons, and yeah, it's a whole nother level of competition. Yeah, it's not playing, the Sporting KC in Montreal and St. Louis. It's really up there. Like, it's almost like facing like LAFC right now. So it would put them in a really good spot. I think they would get the attention of Liga MX and a lot of people in Mexico to be like, you got to be on the lookout for the San Diego team. That at some point, I think against Pumas, that they called us the Mazatlan team just because we're newer in MLS, but we're not Mazatlan. We're a way better team than Mazatlan. So it's gonna feel like that weight of that win is gonna feel a lot different. But you got to do it in 2 matches, though. And it's not only just winning at home, and who knows what that score is going to be, but it's also going to be that second go around when you're playing in Toluca, and that's also going to be very difficult against the elements, against the elevation, and everything else that comes with it.
Well, and that's a ways down the road, and there's an MLS road match in between.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a long road ahead for San Diego FC before you get through the month of March. But Toluca being on a pedestal, having the forwards that are going to be able to press, having Bombino having issues, at least a little bit at right back, once again, this is probably where, if you are Mikey Vardis, you weigh that 50-50 and go, okay, the odds of me having more shots against me, hard shots against me, it's a lot higher with Toluca than it is with Sporting KC. But now that he's seen Fari make those 2 big saves at the end of the match, is that enough? Just right there, those 2 plays, is that enough for him to say, okay, I'm ready to do this, instead of a guy like SanDiego who has stared down the barrel of the shotgun, multiple times? I think it's going to be a fascinating decision once again. But if we consider this a globally affecting win, my next question to you would be, how seriously is Toluca going to take this match?
I
Do
think,
they care that much?
Yeah, I think they do. Especially where they're at in the standings. Like, right now they're in the Apertura. They're. Oh man, I just had it. They're not like a top, or in the Clausura. They're not in the there's a second team in the Clausura. You could go. That's the thing. You could go try to win the league and try to win Champions Cup. That's always a good sign to get more hardware. And if this is a chance to do that, and beat San Diego and just get them out of the way, I think they're going to try their best to to just run us over and just go on to the next round. But yeah, I think, for a top team, if they're in position for this tournament, they're gonna bring their A game here.
If there's one thing that you're the most worried about in terms of what Toluca can do to break down San Diego FC, or what's going to make it hard for San Diego FC to break down Toluca, what would that be?
And it's just going to be about like just stretching the field. Really, it's I mean they also like going after the ball, and we'll see who's going to fight that battle. And I think it's going to be a lot more physicality. We saw a little bit with that today, especially with Luca Bambino. It got a little feisty there, with him, and he got a yellow card. But yeah, that it's just gonna be another like a physical battle, especially like in around the midfield. And if they just win those battles, they're just gonna punch it through and try to score those goals. And um, there might be those 1v1 situations. And Chris McVeigh or Mano Dua, like back there, they're gonna have to be really prepared for that. In the back third. Whoa.
Dear sweet Abe has been moving in and out of this broadcast. We've had, I feel like ever since Tony turned through, there's just been a knock-on effect, and everything SanDiego.Futbol has gone just slightly sideways, but that's all right. It's so good to have you back, Abe. We were just about to wrap up.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys and all of the people out there in the audience dealing with our technical difficulties. But yeah, this is going to be an epic game on Wednesday, no matter what happens, honestly, because there's a very real possibility that San Diego FC get completely crushed. And I think that would still just be exciting just in the soccer realm, because this is such a big opportunity to show what 2 top teams and 2 top leagues can offer each other.
Crushed.
I think it's possible. Like Liga Toluca is really, really good.
I just saw a comment of Alexis Vega. No perdona. He doesn't forgive. Yeah, he's one of the best in the league, man. And it just yeah, I know as a Chivas fan, like he's good. He's really solid, as a forward player. And we'll see how those matchups go, because yeah, they have Vega, Angulo. They have a really good midfield. It's just man, I can't believe we're facing the best team in Mexico on this week. So it's just crazy. It's crazy for me.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be a ton of fun. This is a super busy time for San Diego FC. And as such, let's celebrate today. a 1-0 win over Sporting KC, 3-0 out, 3-0 out, I should say. In MLS, just clear sailing right now. 5-0, 2-0, 1-0. I guess the pattern is they're scoring fewer goals each time, but it's also they're winning. And this is the last thing we hadn't brought up. Dating back to last year, 11 consecutive road results for San Diego FC. That's absolutely crazy. They're playing at the level of the best MLS road team ever, and getting to absolute record-setting territory now in MLS. So 11 in a row in league on the road results. That's really a sign of something, honestly, I would never have thought of from a first-year team. And it's lovely when you start off 1-0 in year 2, you get to pick up all of those results from the previous year, and now you're running a streak. You're running a streak across 2 seasons. So just a really cool element of what's made this team so compelling.
Yeah, the road wins have really helped us out, and it's just gonna, enforce that we're gonna be a top team in the league if this keeps going. Hopefully, we see like the same thing that happened last year, where we're just winning on the road. We're dominant. We could still play our possession style, and then get 3 points out of it.
Oh, and I just want to note for 619 Soccer, regular season. That's a regular season streak.
Mhm.
Obviously, we know in Portland they lost on the road in the playoffs, but regular season, MLS streak. That's what they would count in the record books. They wouldn't have counted if we had won every road game in the playoffs. That wouldn't have added to this streak. It would have been a regular season streak, anyways. So, with that, guys, any closing thoughts before we wrap up another victorious Chromaniacs post-game show? The only L taken today, Tony L. Sanchez.
that was epic. Just way to
Truly
come
was.
in and just nuke the broadcast. But yeah. I forgot Vega is out, so hopefully we're not going to see him on Wednesday night, right? But
Wednesday
other than
night.
that, it was a great win. I think if there's just like some things that you just kind of have to watch with this team. It's not always going to be like your attacking players aren't going to do all the shooting that you want to see, right? Like Marcus and Bartson and Pellegrino aren't going to be out there trying to match what Anders Dreyer is going to do, right? But what they can do is defend, and that's part of the system. That's what Mikey Vardis wants to see, and that I saw Pellegrino really come in and tackle somebody and prevent a scoring opportunity. So that's what he can do. Hopefully, others can start looking for that, because that's what they want in the system. So, yeah. Other than that, it was a great game. 1-0. Well, we got the 3 points, and now we face Toluca midweek.
Yeah, just this is going to be one of the most exciting times, I think, in San Diego soccer. As a week goes, you got Toluca Wednesday, San Diego FC's playing again on Saturday. San Diego Wave are opening their NWSL season this weekend. It's just a great time to follow the beautiful game here.
It absolutely is. And the best way to do that is to go to SanDiego.Futbol, to subscribe to SanDiego.Futbol on YouTube, to hit like on this video and all their videos to help spread the word as the boys get ready to head out to the World Cup. But in between every single one of these matches, we're going to be all over it. All right, that's going to do it for this evening's show. Thanks to everybody, and a double special thank you to everybody who watched the first show, waited through the interregnum, and got to the second part of the show and stayed here to the end. You guys are the tier ones, to be sure. Thank you so much for your time. For Abraham Zepeda, for Alex Pena, for Tony Sanchez, I'm Craig Elston saying thanks so much for being here. And until we talk to you next time, vamos, SDFC.